Hello gamers, I am Mike TheZorch, and today I am here to talk to you about virtual reality. Now, VR is something that's been around for a number of years now, and there are some people who say it's a fad, that it is dying or it has died. That's not true. In fact, VR is seeing a resurgence lately. It's doing very well on the PlayStation. A lot of people own PSVR headsets, and there are a number of games for the PSVR that are coming out. And VR is also seeing something of a resurgence on PC as well. The thing is that the technology has been evolving. The technology has been improving. The first headsets, the original Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, were out for a while, and now there are dozens of different headsets on the market. There are some that are 4K and higher. There are competing technologies, competing APIs for headsets, and it's getting to be a rather crowded market, but it can also be a very expensive product, and that's why it hasn't really achieved the kind of market penetration that a lot of people were expecting VR would do. They were expecting, oh, VR would come out and then suddenly it would transform everything, it would change everything. Well, it does. VR changes a lot, but because it's still relatively high priced, it hasn't taken off as fast as it should have. And another part of the reason why it hasn't taken off as much as it should have is because, well, some people experience motion sickness in virtual reality, and there are ways to mitigate that. And I'll be talking about that in just a moment. I'm here to specifically talk to you about this. And this is a Samsung Odyssey. This is just one of several headsets made that use the Windows Mixed Reality standard. Now, what is that? Well, Windows Mixed Reality is VR. The way Microsoft handles VR. It's actually meant to be AR and VR together. That's what it's meant to be. I haven't done anything that actually does AR with this. I'm not even sure if this one is even capable of that. I haven't seen any applications for that specifically, but mixed reality is supposed to be a combination of the two. But you can actually play Steam VR games with this. The head tracking is actually very good. I have not had any issues with it. It can do room scale. You can set up room scale VR with this, although I don't really have the room for it in here. It works very differently from other VR solutions like the HTC Vive, which uses an external set of trackers to track the movement of your controllers and the headset. The main thing that makes this different from most others is the inside-out tracking. Now, as you notice, there are two cameras on the front, and the cameras are used to track the handset. This is one of them. These are not ambidextrous. There's one that's left and one that's specifically right. And it uses this ring of LEDs to track the movement of the controller. Now, the layout of the buttons and everything on here are virtually identical to what you find on an HTC Vive wand. You have a touch-sensitive trackpad, which is also a button or toggle. The only addition that's different is a joystick. You have the trigger in the front, you have the side grip button, you have a Windows button here, which is specifically for the Windows Mixed Reality interface, and then you have another contact sensitive button here, which brings up, interfaces in games. So this can be used with Steam VR titles that use the wands, that use the HTC Vive wands, or that use the Oculus Rift controllers. You can use those with this, and it does very well. I played No Man's Sky in VR with these controllers. Big difference with this headset. Now, I'm going to be doing a video on my channel, another episode of Bugged Out, where I talk about fixing some of the common issues with these particular types of headsets, and also how to make the game make No Man's Sky playable on Windows Mixed Reality. The biggest difference between this and other headsets is every Windows 10 system that is updated to the latest Creators Update can use this. All you need is the headset. You just plug it in to HDMI and USB 3.0. You're ready to go. You're ready to do VR. You don't have to do any room setup. The system requirements are significantly lower than the Vive or the Oculus Rift. And so if you have like a laptop, you can do room scale VR with a laptop. If you have a GTX 1080 in your laptop, or a 1050 in your desktop, and you have a reasonably decent CPU, you can do VR. You can play VR games. These headsets supply 1440p per eye at 90 hertz. Again, 90 hertz, that's because it's an OLED screen, so it has those deep blacks. Some manufacturers of other headsets have gone to LCD. They sacrificed the contrast ratio for faster refresh rates, because you need those higher frame rates, higher refresh rates to mitigate motion sickness. Now, I have very little depth perception in my vision. If you know, I am visually impaired. I have very little depth perception. But I can see the 3D effect in VR. I can also see the 3D effect in 3D movies. When you put on those polarized glasses, when you go to IMAX 3D or real 3D films in the movies, I have to sit close to see the picture on screen, but I can see the 3D effect. When I went to see Avatar, it was really pronounced. That's because the movie was filmed in 3D. It was made for 3D. Most films today are made in regular film and then converted to 3D. You can tell the difference. It's not quite as good. Not quite as good. Anyway, the type of inside-out tracking that this does is getting very popular with headset makers. Reason why is because it's cheaper. Now, Valve went with the really high-end and high price with their new Index. They have the finger tracking controllers. They have new lighthouses, which are less complex. They have fewer moving parts, because they have spinning sensors that send out beams of light, invisible beams of light that the controllers and the headset can track. So they're less complex and not as easy to break down, but they're still expensive. And so they went that approach, again, the same approach as what HTC used for the Vive. But Oculus with the Rift S and HTC with their new Cosmos headset are going with the inside-out tracking, because it is cheaper and you don't have to set up external sensors in your room. You don't have to have extra camera sensors or special lighthouses to put up on your wall in order to use this. So you can just take this anywhere. You can, set up, if you've got a relatively decent laptop with a 1080 or a 1050 graphics card, you can take this with you and do VR wherever. So it's a different technology than what you would get with the Vive or the Oculus Rift. There are some caveats to using it. It's not 100% compatible with everything on Steam VR, which we discovered with No Man's Sky. Again, I'm going to do a video where I explain how to fix that on the Zorch Central channel. But even though these weren't the biggest commercial success for Microsoft, they're still behind it. They're still going to support it. Their companies are still selling these, but they're a cheaper alternative to your standard VR hardware. And you can use them for variety. You can use them for games on Steam VR or the Windows Store. Minecraft. The Windows 10 version of Minecraft works out of the box with this. No special version required. This also works with the Vivecraft mod for Minecraft. It's designed for it. So it's a cheaper alternative to the more expensive headsets, and you don't have to set up anything permanent in your room in order to use it. Now, as I said, there's some, you're taking on some sacrifices in order to use it. It's not 100% compatible with everything, and you also have to use the Windows Mixed Reality Portal, the software that comes with Windows, in order to utilize it. Other than that, it actually works. Works really well, and it's cheaper than most of the other headsets that are out there. It's not the highest end, doesn't have the best tracking with a controller. It can be a little wonky sometimes. The headset tracking is absolutely perfect. It does very decent room size VR. Overall, it's good. I would recommend it if you were wanting to do VR on a budget and you couldn't afford the more expensive headsets. Now, next time I will be doing a video where I'll be comparing this to the Vive. Tygra actually has one, and I'll be showing you the major differences between the Vive and this particular headset. Until then, I am Mike TheZorch, and I'll see you guys next time. If you like this video and you want to support the Gamers Bay channel, head on over to the Gamers Bay store. The link is in the video description below. Also remember that Gamers Bay has a community on MeWe. MeWe is the only social media network that does not sell or collect your data. They take your privacy very seriously.